Hey everybody, so I'm the last speaker on day 2 of a very event-packed day, which has been freaking awesome. Thank you all for showing up, but I'm also standing between you and a drink. So we're gonna make this as productive and quick as possible so we can get on to the after party, which I found out is a 10-minute walk from here, so we'll have some time for Q&A afterwards. Quick shout out to my team, no spitballs, no straws. I warned everybody, don't do it, and no squirt guns. Okay, got that out of the way, housekeeping is done. So I'm Ken Pekka, I work at Forbes Advisor. We are, I think everybody knows the Forbes name. We're a 100-year-old brand, and we are an affiliate marketing comparison site, right? So think about travel insurance, think about pet insurance, think about financial advice. We're gonna give you that advice, and we're gonna connect you to affiliate partners that are gonna help you make decisions on those financial decisions that are important to you during your life. So, that's me. Just talked through that. Why is CRM crucial for marketing leaders? CRM is indispensable, right? So if you think of CRM, think of a three-legged stool, right? You got SEO, you have SEM, and you have CRM. The three of those tools have to work together. SEO, SEM are quick to stand up. You stand them up, you walk away from the stool, it's gonna fall down. Somebody's gotta be there to maintain that relationship with those users as they come through. And that's what makes CRM crucial in today's marketing world. Today we're gonna talk through some of the challenges we face, and I'm taking it back from the stand-up, right? So when I came over to Forbes Advisor, they said, we wanna stand up a CRM. You have some experience in that field, come run this team for us. We're gonna talk about setting the right expectations early, but it's never too late to reset expectations with leadership. We're gonna talk about some of the things that we did from an initial build with Iterable to stand up our CRM and have a successful year 1 playbook, which, while setting expectations, it's not always the case. Okay, so we're gonna talk through that a little bit, and then I'll go through some key metrics and key takeaways. So challenges we face, and in some cases, in a lot of cases, why CRM is an afterthought, and I touched about that a little bit earlier. It's that three-legged stool, right? But SEO, SEM are quick to stand up and monetize, and all of a sudden you got all this financial growth. Now you need somebody to maintain that relationship, and that's where we come in sometimes afterwards. Who in this room, show of hands, has felt like this team at their first QBR after either taking over or standing up a CRM? Because I have. It's one of the biggest challenges we face as marketers when standing up a CRM is everybody says CRM is going to make us $15 million. Well, it will, just not in year 1. Like, that expectation is going to have to be set. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. Another challenge we face is breakage versus incremental gain. And it's that constant battle of, where are we going to put email capture on a page? Is it above the fold, below the fold? No. It can't interrupt our paid ads. It can't interrupt our editorial content. And often you end up down at the bottom. So building that audience from the beginning is a challenge. Attribution complexity. So in our model, where we're pushing out to an affiliate and then remarketing and retargeting that user and trying to get them to go back and convert, that's a challenge. Data and internal silos. How many people have heard, we don't have data engineering right now, you're in the queue? Because that was a common theme for us from the beginning. So just getting through that is one of the initial challenges. Building the team, well, when you start with 0 and you're handed a platform, it's a common theme. We're not making any money. We can't hire an HTML designer yet. We can't justify it. You gotta show me the money first. And then again, collaboration. How many people here, why should we work with CRM? That has been a challenge also. And they're common challenges. I'm sure everybody here has faced one or more of those challenges. Right? So how do you conquer this? You gotta set the expectation early. I give a lot of credit to Christine, who is here with me. She keeps me on the rails a lot because I'm the guy that doesn't like to say no and wants to do everything quickly, stand it up quickly without setting up a lot of guardrails. So thank you, Christine. And she helps me set the expectations. So CRM will not, unless you're really, really good and have a really big audience, make $15 million in year one. And any senior leader that says it will, you need to get to that person quickly and say, not without. And there's a variety of things that you're going to need, but most of all, it's audience. Like, you can't make money unless you're getting that email capture and building that audience. And building that audience, no matter if you're a 100-year-old brand or a startup, takes time. Typical break even on that initial investment, whether it's, and it could be small, could be 100,000, 60,000, whatever it is, whatever platform you're using, whatever that team is, it's going to take 12 to 18 months. So your leadership team needs to know that, and they need to expect that, so they can help you grow the platform with the tools and resources you need. Positive EBITDA takes time to get to. Everybody looks this up. Everybody ChatGPTs or Googles it. $36 for every dollar spent. That is true, but it takes time to get there, and it takes resources, right? So setting the expectation that you're not going to see this day one, day two, or even in a year, that is important as you talk about and talk to senior leaders and make sure you're setting the right expectations. Building your audience is key. And like I said earlier, like, one of the challenges was always how do we get widgets in places where people are going to sign up and opt into our email program so that we can start learning about them, collecting their data, right? Getting voluntary data or zero-party data. That takes time. So just making sure that leadership knows we're not going to get to 5 million users overnight, which is about what it's going to take to get to that $15 million mark. Involve business analytics early, business intelligence and analytics early, just because you've got to set up the right attribution model so that you can say, right, at the end of the day, you can prove, like, hey, here's what our email campaigns and journeys are worth, here's what we made, here's what we spent, here's our net revenue. And getting a commitment for cross-channel collaborations. If you don't get that senior leader voice at the table, that sponsorship to go in and help you get key stakeholders from the other teams within your organization, you're not going to make progress. So it's important to set that expectation up front. I'm sure most people know this. I'm just reinforcing, like, these are just table stakes when you're setting up a CRM. Once that expectation is set and you have an agreement and alignment with senior leadership across the board, it's time to roll up your sleeves and start working. So I tell a funny story. I was hired, the place I came from, we had Iterable, and that was one of our many pieces in our marketing stack. And it was a piece that I worked with sometimes. Company hires me, they said, come on over. We want you to run our stand-up CRM team, and we're signing a contract with Iterable. Oh, great, awesome. I need a designer, I need a data person, and I need an engineer, not an engineer, but a journey builder. Sure, great. Day one, walk in. Here's a laptop, go build some journeys. Now, one of the coolest things is, for somebody who was 100% strategic, and what I love about Iterable was, I walked in the door, and within 2 weeks, I was building journeys, and I had never built a journey in my life. I was terrified. So rolling up your sleeves and getting into the weeds with the tools was really simple, but it's really important, right? Couple of key takeaways from this is have a well-documented plan, right? If it doesn't exist on paper, it doesn't exist in your CRM. And I say that all the time. Like, you got to document it, run through it, build, redocument, run through it, build, until you get to that right mix of, okay, I'm ready to go live. Start with your audience, open rates, and CTR reputation. Like, if you think you're going to jump out of the box and start making money, you're kind of starting in a negative, right? You got to start figuring out how to get that audience in and building their trust, and then you'll figure out how to make where the money is, right? And that's the next point. Show me the money. I'm going to walk through the MVP to where we landed with final data feeds and event triggers in year one. And again, I can't say this enough, tackling attribution quickly. So here's kind of where we started, right? We're Forbes Advisor, we're a media company, we're known for news and reviews. We started with 3 simple newsletters on a weekly cadence. We split them up, and this is how we started collecting our audience and learning about our audience, what they liked, what actions they took, where they were driving to, what they were most interested in. We tried to put opt-in widgets everywhere, and everywhere that would let us, we put a widget, and we quickly grew our audience from 0 in the first 3 months, from 0 to about 250,000. And that was, again, with widgets that were placed pretty much below the fold, bottom of the page, and not on SEM pages. So these helped us build that initial trust, get that initial audience, and it helped us focus on deliverability. And deliverability is so freaking important. I can't stress that enough, because it's very easy to end up on a naughty list and then have to fight your way out of it. So pay a lot of attention, right? We paid a lot of attention, and Iterable helped us through this. Like, they guided us hand in hand all the way through. But how to build that audience trust, how to build our deliverability, and how to maintain it was crucial. We studied our heat mapping, we learned audience's behavior, and then we A/B tested everything. And if you're not A/B testing everything, you're not doing your CRM justice. So this was our MVP in our first 3 months, and you can see it was very simple. It was wait timer, email, wait timer, email, wait timer, email, wait timer, email. Those were I told you I wasn't an email designer. Those were my initial designs. They're terrible. But to that point, right, we chose a vertical which we knew we could have some success in, which was travel insurance. We started passing that journey to nurture the audience and help them as we're also building our list of newsletters. We're also building a travel newsletter, right? So travel newsletter, we know these folks are travelers. Come back, come get them to sign up, buy travel insurance. Allowing easy opt-outs was crucial for us and remains crucial to this day. So without a lot of effort, we put in 3 different ways to opt out, and I've heard people say this throughout this entire conference today, like it's better to have an opt-out than somebody put you in the spam box. That's totally true. So we have an opt-out up top. Then we have in our journeys, you'll see the green button, which is buy now, and then there's an unsubscribe, not interested, or I've already purchased. And then there's our opt-out and our snippets in the footer too. So making sure that we had easy ways for our users to opt out and say they weren't interested in travel insurance. Again, focusing on deliverability, building that attribution model, studying our heat mapping to see where our users were engaging, where they were clicking, and now we're starting to pick winners in our first round of A/B tests. So here's where we ended up in our first 3 months. Simple email captures. We spend a lot of time building out the right data schema because bad data poisons everything, right? So and then you got to go back and try and fix it. So make sure that you're building, we had to make sure that we were building the right data schema. And that is super critical even to today, making sure that we don't have just a tarnished data fields. And we were delivering via a daily batch API. We began with the informational stuff, right? We reached a broad audience. We tested FOMO, and on the right are just some images of like different testing we did, different colors, right? Different variants, different subjects, different send names. And you can see in the first 3 months, we actually had some success. It's not great, 38%, it's okay. 1.5% click-through rate, again, okay, but again, we don't have a lot of data at this point. We're still building that. And then 2% conversion, which was good. I'll take that for a startup any day. The next phase of what we did and what became really critical to us was this growth phase. Okay, now let's take those first 3 months of learning, right? We've started choosing our A/B winners and implementing those across the first few sets of emails. And now our data is growing, and your data's got to, as you're building and as you're launching, you're building your data schema and collecting more data. And that became really critical to us because we started to be able to segment our users on, okay, we know that 60% of our audience coming in to purchase travel insurance are senior citizens, and they're traveling overseas. So we started building specific segments for that, which you see up on top, A/B testing, segmenting to our senior audience, and just talking to them a little bit more personally. Anything else I want? No, nothing else I want to cover on this slide. So back to some results, right? After the first 6 months, this is kind of what our KPIs looked like. We had a click-through rate of 4.2%. Our journey rate, everything is climbing, 48%, 3% conversion, right? We had chosen all our A/B testing, but we A/B test every month. So every month we'll be now choosing winners, starting a new set of A/B tests. As your campaigns grow, it's going to be impossible to do this on all of them, so you have to be very strategic about which ones you pick to A/B test, but the implementation becomes a little bit easier. So moving on to building that more mature journey, we were learning our audience. We knew them pretty well at this point. We knew we had solo travelers. We knew we had senior travelers. We knew where they were going, and we knew who was buying the most travel insurance, so we were able to hyper-focus on those users. We increased our data-driven decisions, personalizations. We started building catalogs. Coolest thing in the world at the time was building these catalogs. We did this for a couple different verticals that we launched in tandem. But it just helps that user know that, hey, you're managing my relationship, you know me, you know who I am, and you can talk to me. We started testing and playing with data feeds, right? Making use of AI for send time optimization, that was another big one for us, right? It keeps you on top of that inbox. So start using all these things. The sooner you can start using these things, the sooner you're going to end up on the top of the inbox, and the sooner you're not going to feel like that person sitting down at your first QBR saying, well, we didn't generate any revenue. Multivariate testing, integrating surveys. That is an important piece to CRM, and it's crucial for all marketing leaders to let your audience tell you what they like and don't like. And the amount of hate mail we got was equal to the amount of love mail we got, but we learned a lot from it. So integrate, and there's a lot of, there's a couple different bolt-ons that Iterable offers for surveys and preference centers. Take advantage of them. They're not that expensive. And then managing, again, deliverability and spam. You got to watch it because in the first year, you're going to see that number bounce up and down, bounce up and down, bounce up and down. It's key to get that spam rate sustainable and within industry standard. So on the right are just a couple examples of how we set up some fun facts with catalogs, how we started using data feeds, and just the different options that we use to personalize our experience. And our emails changed quite a bit. So just going down to KPIs and conversions, you see we increased our travel conversion at the end of year one to 5.65% with an average 60% open rate. Some of our campaigns, like the senior campaign, senior citizens traveling overseas, was almost 80% open rate. So really good open rates. And we hit 1.2 million in our first year with the travel insurance journey. So on the right, again, is kind of what that looks like. So if you see the image on the left, that is what the catalog looks like. It's fun facts about the state you may be moving to. On the right is what data feeds look like with live quotes coming in and being able to talk to the user with everything that's relevant to them, that quotes that they saw when they searched and did a quote search on site, and then driving back to that quote to make a purchase from the email. So kind of the KPI summary following these steps and where we landed in the first year, right? We went from a click-through rate of 1.5 to 4.2 to almost 6 to 10% by the end of the year. which is a very good click-through rate, right? Everybody knows it. Our open rates, 38, 48, 60. So you can see a steady climb, 2%, 3%, 5.65% conversion, 5.65% conversion is a very good conversion rate for the first year. Again, all part of that, setting that right expectation and building out, getting the team you need to build that out and bring all of this together. So, some key takeaways. One, I've said it about 25 times today, the importance of setting the right expectations. Just make sure you're setting and resetting with your senior leaders and your senior sponsors regularly the right expectations. Never stop A/B testing. If you're not A/B testing everything, you're not doing your CRM platform justice. Incremental gains and audience engagement, and this is important because this was a hard one to prove. But you have to prove that those little incremental gains outweigh any disruption of an email widget that's collecting and capturing your audience. Challenges faced by marketing leaders, such as the CRM's ROI with internal silos and complexity of attribution need to be solved early in the process. If you don't solve them early, they're just gonna linger, and a year later, you're gonna be scratching your head wondering why. And deliverability. I can't say that enough. Deliverability is key. I'm like the pit bull of deliverability on my team, and I'm looking at that every day, and when I see a little bit of a spike, it drives me nuts, and I start going into the mode of, what do I need to do to mitigate this? Iterable also has an awesome team of deliverability specialists that we should take advantage of. So what all of this led to was email alone as our only channel in CRM in year one. Email alone led to 18% of our overall revenue in our travel insurance vertical. 18%. So that's kind of how we got there. What we're planning on next, right? So now we're in year 1.5, is we're now launching SMS, right? Where we've just activated Smart Ingest. So those are the next set of tools that we'll be deploying. But again, making sure that we're setting the right expectation with our senior leader sponsors that's not going to get us from $1.5 million to $15 million overnight. We still need the other things we need. And that's pretty much what I have for you today, and I hope that was insightful and helpful. And it looks like we have about 5 minutes for questions.
I have one. Actually, first for you, I have one. And you ended perfectly, I think, to land on this question. You talked about building out that well-documented plan before you got going. Mm-hmm. So 2 questions I had around that. One was, how do you present that to the senior leadership? And then do you revise it and kind of represent it now that you're kind of in year 2? You had to obviously convince them to invest in SMS. So talk a little bit about the plan.
Yep, so that's a great question. So did a lot of industry research. So where I came from before I got to Forbes Advisor was a very different company. We did a lot of different things. So I had to do a lot of industry research. I had brought on a data expert to help me do that research, and we built out our business case and business plan. We documented it and then diagrammed it, right? So think of just any typical flow chart. User enters journey here, samples, user moves through journey at these points, and then we set a timeline, right? So in months 1 through 3, we're gonna start with our first nurture campaigns and our newsletters. In month 3 to 6, that's when we start beefing up our nurture campaigns, adding emails as emails are needed. You may see that you still have really high engagement on email 3, so you add email 4, right? So building that up, and then, of course, getting to that mature journey where you're really segmenting all your data. All that said, we revise that plan monthly. As you hit blockers, as things change, you're gonna hit blockers. Transparency when you're speaking to leaders is so important. If you think that you're hitting a blocker and you can kind of brush it to the side, cover it up, and come back to it later and nobody's gonna notice, that's not gonna work. So when you revise that plan for internal reasons, for whatever it is, You just have to be really clear and really transparent to the senior leaders and senior sponsors to make sure that they're aware that you've hit a blocker, and that may either accelerate or decelerate, right, what your next phase of the build is going to be.
Thank you. Somebody had a question? There you go.
Don't worry, I'll be nice.
You're not allowed to ask questions.
So going back to day one, when you're setting up this entire email strategy, you had in your first slide there was points 3 and 4. They're very horribly complementary to each other, in the sense that it's very hard to attribute revenue in the affiliate marketing space, and you often don't have dedicated engineering resource
That's right.
for email and for marketing in this particular context. So how do you and how did you get this off the ground? When it's very hard to demonstrate the return on investment to a product manager or an engineering manager, how did you get the buy-in from the business to actually build this up and get it off the ground?
It's a great question. So it was a little bit ad hoc. Obviously, we used Google Analytics and UTM parameters to capture as much of that as we could on the travel insurance platform. We also worked with our affiliate partner to have sub-IDs that would report back any email. So in our links, we added the sub-ID, which was a number specific that was given to us by our affiliate partner. And we also had dedicated landing pages to track users coming back from email. So those 3 things that were kind of an easy lift, one was with the affiliate partner, 2 of them were internal, is how we stood it up. But I'll tell you, we quickly outgrew UTMing. It works to a point, but again, in an affiliate model, it breaks really quickly. So you have to have that relationship with the affiliate partner where they're providing back accurate reporting with your UTM parameters on top that can be pulled in and stitched together by GA.
Any more questions? Right here.
Hi, thank you for the presentation. You mentioned that between the first 3 months, 3 to 9 months, and so on and so forth, the percentages of everything went up, they increased. Mm-hmm. Is there any other marketing channels that could have supported that increase? Just curious to know what was happening outside of just email.
Oh, absolutely. So we could have used push, but it was a small team and it was a complex setup. SMS, absolutely. So we're now moving into that omni-channel experience. But yeah, there are definitely other marketing channels that could have leaned in and helped, maybe even some paid marketing. But that's why I go back to it's important to get that collaborative approach way up front in the beginning, rather than simply say, yes, we can make $15 million and go off and build a plan and then try to set the expectation. So that's why I say it's really important to start by setting the expectation first and getting an alignment from top down that we're going to help you by providing you with these resources.
Anything else? All right, well, I guess they're ready to go drink.
Booze time, who's buying? Thank you all. I hope today was really productive for everybody. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you, Ken.
Of course.